Welcome to the Virtual Cheese Awards 2021. Good afternoon. This afternoon we are going to judge the best used milk hard cheese class, and joining me to judge these wonderful cheeses we have Sam Wilkin and Perry Wakeman. Welcome, Sam and Perry. Would you just like to say a few words for me, please?
Hello, I'm Sam. Nice to meet you all. I am run the Salmon podcast, and I'm the head cheesemonger at the Cheese Bar in London.
Thank you.
I'm from Rennet and Rind. I look after all the cheese here. I'm a qualified afternoon, patron of the Academy of Cheese, and here to taste cheese.
Thank you very much. So we've got 6 entries in this class, and we'll start off with 112, and the class number is F5.
Okay, cool. Appearance. Yeah, it's okay. Are we on the same one? Yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so we've got a slight little bit of sort of growth in the rind, which isn't particularly bad. Good even texture in the middle. A little bit of islets which are forming in the middle, which is quite interesting. But good pace all across. I'd say that's like a 7, 8 to me.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. It's yeah, exactly that. That's like mottling on the rind. I think it's fairly even, so it's not like it's just been sat in one place. I think that's good, and I think that texture, those eyes starting to come through, is lovely. I think,
yeah, aroma's good. That
aroma is good.
That you find on there's a definitive sheepiness to it, which is
that
great.
roast lamb kind of aroma is really lovely.
Yeah, bang on with the savouriness. I love that. That's good. I would say that's around about an 8 for me in terms of where it sits.
Texture, I think texturally it's really good. It's got a nice kind of pliability, and then it just breaks nicely. It's got a nice sort of that lovely kind of fatty slickness that you'd expect. Again, almost like the kind of the fat on a really nice lamb joint.
Yeah, I agree. I would put this around about an 8. That like oily slickness is something that I really like in the, manchego kind of style cheese. Yeah. So yeah, I really like that. So I'd say about
8.
Yeah.
Flavour, I think, is really good. I think it might err on the slightly salty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just slight, like it's a fine line, but having said that, all that kind of lovely kind of savoury lamminess, and then a bit of kind of florality, sweetness coming through. It's a really enjoyable cheese. I mean, I'd be heading up towards an 8 for this. Personally.
Yeah, I think we're heading towards like a 9. There's just under the rind, there's a little bit of raw wool kind of sheepiness that's there.
That kind of lanolin sort of.
Which I'm not as keen on. But overall, that roasted kind of, got a slight garlicky kind of vibe to it, which is quite cool. I think it's really nice. I think that's an 8 from me, if you agree.
Yeah, 8 from me. And I think overall, again, another 8, really. I think that's where we've stuck with 8s, haven't we, across the board?
So we've got 8 across the board, yeah?
Yeah.
Good job on that. That's bang on to this.
Yeah, that's a lovely cheese, that.
We're on to 1123.
1123. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so slightly more aged. We've got a real cultivating of different awesome molds that are on the outside, which in appearance are, maybe not as entertaining. They're really hard to achieve, which I quite like on them. And the kind of the spalling around the top is quite good as well. My concern is this shape, I suppose, Sam. I don't know how uneven yours is.
Yeah, it's not symmetrical.
Yeah. Which
might be that it's sat in the mould slightly longer on one side before it's been turned, and then.
Yeah. So, but I like the complexity of the moulds that are occurring on the rind. The
very beautiful.
Absolutely perfect, pretty much on all sides, and pronounce where the moulds are, which is perfectly a good example of where it should be. Yeah. Colouring is perfect. I mean, I would say appearance. I think that's a very entertaining cheese, and I'll put it around about 8, despite. It's slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it is uneven, but I think that the critical thing is it's not uneven within the cheese. It's not as though those two sides are behaving differently. Yeah. So I'd agree. It's an 8 for me. Yeah. Texturally, or aroma maybe.
Yeah, aroma.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's some proper like terroir there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, raw. There's farmyard in there. There's sheep in there.
Mm.
Grassy.
Yeah, there's definitely the animal going on.
Yeah, I mean that's great. For me, that is.
I'd go up for a 9 with that personally.
Yeah, bang on. I'd say 9. That's quite incredible when you feel like you can have a bit of the farm in your hands, you know. Texture.
It's got a lovely kind of almost appeal about it. It's fragile and yet it's lovely and pliable as well.
Yeah.
It's incredibly sort of silky almost as it breaks down on the palate. That kind of fattiness really kind of leads the way. It's fantastic.
It's got almost a perfect break to it, you know.
Yeah.
That it just, like you said, it peels away so perfectly, and it's just dry up but moist at the same time. Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to go 9.
9, yeah.
Yeah, lovely cheese that. And flavour for me is exceptional.
It's sensational, isn't it? You know, all those elements that we were talking about in the previous one with the sweetness, the laminess that's there, the slight nutty elements that pull through. I love the pepperiness that it has, but it's not overly peppery.
No, it's beautifully balanced. It's like a really well-made dish. Like there's not one element that supersedes all the other, but there's so much going on, and that length of flavour, I keep banging on about it, but it's actually really rare to find something that keeps going, takes you on that journey. I can feel myself getting excited about this cheese. I'm going to go, for me, 10 on flavour.
10, true to type, I'll go 10 as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that is a real exceptional cheese.
I'll probably earmark that as well to try and make sure that it appears in, you know, we haven't tried all our categories yet, but that's a real sensational style of this cheese. It's really great.
You'd hope to see that next week.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Wonderful cheese, that.
Yeah.
1138.
1138, yeah.
So that lovely bloomy natural rind that we were talking about earlier, very even, not overly pronounced, quite a delicate covering, really, that rind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's really even all the way over,
and there's sort of even eye through the middle.
Yeah, a good peppering of the islets that are all through there, but very consistent throughout. The drawing in is consistent. The rind looks really like thin, like a great tom almost.
Yeah.
You know,
you feel like quite a lot of care and attention has been paid in actually selecting this specific cheese to send out as well.
It's very true. It does
a really carefully selected cheese there.
Yeah, that's good. So I'd say look-wise, I think that looks superb. I'd say a 9.
Yeah, I'd agree. Absolutely.
Well, like you said, and then aroma.
Sweet, lactic, mushrooms around the rind.
Yeah, really light.
Yeah.
Bit grassy, nothing too overly, you know, crazy, but nothing.
Maybe an 8.
Yeah, but nothing. You know, the important thing is nothing completely wrong as well. You know.
No. It's super clean. It's really clean. There's no sort of woolly funkiness that you can get sometimes. It's very clean.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, totally agree.
So that was an 8, I think. So texture, beautifully pliable, and it's got that lovely kind of break on the rind as well as it pulls apart.
Yeah, I got that pull apart, which that pull that works really well and clean. You know, it's spongy, and the islets in there actually lends to that lightness that's in there when it's on the palate.
It is very light, isn't it, on the palate?
Yeah, really
very
light.
Delicate.
Yeah. I'll go for about. It doesn't wow me though. I mean, I
was thinking I was erring towards a 7 rather than an 8 on that.
Yeah, I'll go with 7. That would be perfect for me.
And then flavour, very clean, very delicate, milky. No real kind of like nothing particularly identifiably sheepy about it. You know,
it's difficult to tell on taste if this was sheep.
Yeah, I agree. I think because of that, I'd go for a 7 rather than an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, okay.
It's very nice. It's just not. There's no sort of defining characteristics particularly. It's just very, very Moorish, very palatable, very enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go for around about a 7 as well. Nothing particularly wrong with it. Nothing that wows me on it. True to type. I mean, where are we situating this? Kind of like a sheep tom, I suppose.
Yeah, so I'd go an 8 for that. I think it does well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree
So
with
I've
that.
got an 8 for appearance, an 8 for aroma, a 7 for texture, an 8 for food character, and a 7 for flavour.
Yeah,
correct.
That is correct.
So we're now moving on to F51152.
Okay, it's back.
Uh,
Something tells me this might have come from the same farm, right?
yeah, same packaging. Same exciting looking rind. Not as full on and funky as the cheese we tried in the different class.
Yeah, more purple. The film doesn't do this cheese well. I wonder what it'd be like without it, you know, with a little bit of cheese wrap paper. But break down on all the outsides. You know, you've got that sticky rind that's there, which is, you know, could be.
I mean, it's just coming off on my fingers, that rind. Really, it's.
You know, it could be washed, maybe. You know, I doubt it, but you know, it's difficult to know with this. But it's broken down. The moisture is there. But underneath the rind, you know, it's pretty even all the way for me.
Yeah.
And the texture in the middle is all right. So I mean,
I'd go a 5. I don't want to kind of mark it down, but it's not. You know, the rind is problematic for me. So I think a 5.
5, maybe just like not for you know, everyone. Aroma
is pretty sour
again, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit more challenging, this one. Definitely more definitely stronger. You know, I'm guessing sheep's milk has done that. In the interior, it's very perfumey.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not loving this one as much as the cows actually on the aroma. It's more understated. So I think it's around about a 5 for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Texture, I think because of that wetness on the rind, it's going to have to be a 5 because the middle texture has got that lovely break, that kind of almost, we talked about that.
Yeah.
But I think the wetness on the rind is problematic for me. So a 5 again. So we're not harshly marking it, but we can't really hugely positively mark it either because of that.
I totally agree.
What are your comments on the texture? What are the attributes of the texture?
So it's surprisingly smooth and got an element of dryness to it. The breakdown on the palate is actually quite consistent, which is good. It's just the rind side of it, the breakdown underneath the rind is unusual. You know, borderline kind of like crayons. You know,
yeah, that's a brilliant note, actually. Yeah,
you know,
right.
Maybe this quick fire is bringing the best out in us. You know. Yeah. Flavor. Yeah.
Again, it's kind of surprisingly restrained. It drops away quite quickly for me. I think it's, you know.
That's a barrel-aged red wine right there, flavour I'm getting. You know, it's got like that muskiness that you were talking about is there, that kind of fortified element to it. It's on the other one had a real bitter vibe to it, do you remember? But this one doesn't have, it has aromatics about it. Nothing particularly that wows me. I think the flavour is far better than the...
Isn't it fascinating that you can get something that looks quite so kind of gnarly, and yet actually the flavour is really quite delicate, and there's some sweetness there, some kind of fermented notes, as you say, a touch of sourness, but not in a bad way. I mean, I'd go for a 6 maybe on flavour.
I quite like it. I'd like to push 7.
Would you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I feel that's good. I think that's positive because, again, I'm kind of fascinated by this cheese. Yeah.
I feel like it's been aged in a barrel of wine or something like that, you know? I'd love to know. But yeah, it's got that real fermented edge to it. And true of type, it's very difficult on this one. What do we do for the other one? Because it doesn't really have a true to type. But overall, should we maybe look at a 6 or a 7?
Yeah, I think a 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Sarah?
Yeah, that's fine. So, sorry, what was the flavour score that you had there?
We went for a 7, right?
We had 7. Yeah, you're right. You're quite right.
I'll have to write my comments down. We've got a 5 for appearance, a 5 for aroma, a 5 for texture, 6 for true to character, and 7 for flavour.
Yeah.
So we are now on to 1186.
Well, that comes out of the bag with a lot of punch, doesn't it? That's quite nice.
Oh, wow.
Appearance.
Going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like it, purely because the kind of degrading. I'm guessing the VAT pack has had a situation with this, but it's condensed it and it's consistently dark that's in there. The breakdown in between, you know, the draw-in element of it is even all the way through for my wedge of cheese.
Yes.
Crystalline through it, few islets that are coming through. I can't really. It looks like it's going to be challenging. You know, for the complexity of what they're trying to do, appearance-wise, I think it achieves it.
I agree.
Yeah, so I'd go an 8.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a really fascinating-looking piece of cheese. I think 8 is definitely fair. Aroma, all sorts going on.
Yeah.
I think you were talking about that kind of aged in the barrel red wine thing. I think definitely here you've got real fermented fruits.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and almost a biscuity maltiness as well around the rind.
Yeah, but it's got a bit of, you know, buric acid as well, hasn't it? You know, the kind of baby sick style to it as well.
Yeah.
Parmesan kind of
Definitely silage, definitely fermented grass. It's big on those sort of flavors, aromas. I think there's a lot going on. For that reason, I'm that is, you know, a negative a negative aroma.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go an 8 for that. I think that's quite.
Yeah, I think so. I like the strength of it and the complexity that it has going on. I like the changing nature that it has. I'm on board with that. In terms of texture, we've got this crumbly yet dry kind of scenario, which is good. You know, actually, as you break it, it's got that signature snap that we're kind of looking for. It peels off easily. It's surprisingly smooth on the palate.
Yeah, there's not so much kind of crystalline crumble to it. It's got, quite a uniform, smooth breakdown.
Yeah, it's very uniform. It's very, you know, systematic.
You wouldn't necessarily expect by looking at it. You'd imagine there was a bit more kind of, you know, rustic diversity within, if you like. But yeah, it breaks down. I mean, I'm going to go for a 7 because I think
that's what I was going to say. 7. Yeah. Flavour. Like it up front.
Flavour's an interesting one, isn't it?
I like it up front. I'm not as keen on it on the end.
No, it dissipates very quickly, and it's just it's sort of fatty. You're just left with that kind of fatty residue rather than an oily residue. It's
becomes very meaty up the front, almost like in the middle, the aroma, perfumey kind of vibe comes off, and then right at the end, there is a gone off corked wine vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really,
No, I'm going to go for a 5, perhaps, on the flavour.
Yes, I agree. True to type of are we guessing a barrel aged, sort of cheese here?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a 6 or 6.
Yeah. That's where.
6. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's true of what it is, and I've seen better styles of it, but they're quite hard to pull off.
I agree.
You kind of sit and wait, and sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't. Really interesting,
So the last one of the class is F51220.
Another halloumi style.
Yeah, I needed a little bowl really to this.
No, I managed to spill it all over my carpet, which went well.
Yeah, got to do a thorough room clean up.
So that's got, I mean, that is just, there hasn't got the fold, but it's, very clean. Lovely and even through the middle, actually. I'd go for a 7 maybe on texture, on appearance rather.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more crumbly than I'd like to see in halloumi, in terms of...
Maybe.
So appearance, yeah, I mean, it's a block of white halloumi, right? It's that does what it does. So 7, right?
Yeah.
The fold's not there, so maybe we should think about 6.
Maybe, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we go for 6 without the fold. Aroma, yeah, milky, sheepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6.
6, yeah. Texture,
Texture, I agree, actually. Like, at first glance, it's not as granular, but when you actually try it, so when you're cooking that, all those sort of granular bits would kind of retreat from each other, and it would possibly break up a little bit. I don't know how.
Yeah. Okay, so I think a 5 on maybe the texture.
Yeah.
Surprisingly dry, you know.
Flavour, it's not as pronounced briny as the other one. There's more sweetness coming through.
It's a nicer balance of flavour, right?
Yeah, I think more of a 7 this one than the last halloumi style cheese.
I like the flavour. True to type, without the fold, with the texture problems, but delivering on flavour, I'd go for around about 6.
Yeah, I think that sounds fair.
Okay, got that down, yeah. Okay.
Lovely.
So the scores on the doors here. So the first one that we judged, 1122, has come second at 44. We've got 1123. The second one is coming in first place.
That's good.
And then the third cheese, which is 1138, is coming in third place. So it went second, first, third from the top 3 ones that we looked at.
That's lovely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
The UFO shape, the first Manchego style, and the second, and the third, the light lemony kind of easygoing cheese. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, so you've got second, first, and then third.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to be so popular with my neighbours.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much. We've now completed class 5, which is hard Ewes milk artisan cheese, and we'll be back shortly with the next class. Thank you very much, Simon and Perry.